Welcome to the 700 Club, the reopening of America. Well, after weeks of lockdowns, millions of Americans are getting what they've been demanding, the freedom to get out of the house and go back to work.
The Centers for Disease Control has now released its guidelines for reopening. So what are the CDC's decision tools? Heather Sells explains.
In Wisconsin, restaurants and bars began hopping just hours after the state Supreme Court struck down the governor's stay-at-home order, effectively reopening the state. President Trump called it a win. Many in Wisconsin felt relieved.
I also think that we should all be able to decide if we want to go out or not.
If they don't feel that it's good to come out yet, more to them. But I hope they respect my feelings on I would like to come out and I would like to start getting the economy going again.
The president visited Pennsylvania Thursday to talk about preparing for future pandemics by restocking the strategic national stockpile of medical supplies and bringing manufacturing of critical supplies and equipment back to the U.S. He also made the case for Democratic Governor Tom Wolf to reopen the state.
If we have to get your governor of Pennsylvania to start opening up a little bit. You have areas of Pennsylvania that are barely affected and they want to keep them closed.
The CDC has finally released much anticipated guidelines for reopening. It has created 6 one-page documents it calls decision tools to help places like schools, businesses, camps, child care centers, and restaurants. The CDC also originally wrote a document for churches and other religious facilities, but that wasn't posted. The agency is not saying why. States across the country are gradually opening up again, like Virginia. Today it begins its reopening plan, and it includes churches, which can hold services at 50% capacity. The governor is delaying the reopening for hotspot areas in the state, like Richmond and Northern Virginia. But in Virginia Beach, restaurants are ready for what's now allowed limited outdoor dining. And the state is letting restaurants expand their outdoor areas or request to make a new one.
The employees that I brought back in are extremely excited to come back to work and make some money, see their customers.
Although they're mindful of the risks and the possibility of more outbreaks, after weeks of isolation and restrictions, these reopenings are lifting the spirits of many Americans. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Well, we're in a giant experiment. That's what's really going on. When you look at what Sweden did, you look at what Governor DeSantis did in Florida, you look at these things, and they did not. It was predicted they would see this huge spike in infections. That did not happen. So as a result, can we start getting back to work? Can we start reopening? At the same time, there's patterns of infection. So if you're in an enclosed space, and that would include a restaurant, it's more than just the cruise ship. It's more than just an aircraft carrier. If you're in an enclosed space, it actually increases the chance that you can get it if someone's infected in that closed space with you. Keep in mind, the #1 place for this kind of infection is at home. When someone infected comes home, then everyone in the household will get it. And the infection rate is enormous. This is 70, 80%. So you look at those kinds of stats, please be cautious with this. Don't just think, well, I can go to a restaurant and have life back normal again. No, you can't. We may all have to get used to dining al fresco.
Yeah, in the parking lot.
You want to be in the parking lot? How about a nice terrace view of the ocean?
Oh, well, that works.
That'll work?
That works before the virus.
That worked before the virus.
Exactly.
Well, in other news, Washington is getting ready to spend more money on a new coronavirus relief bill. John Jessup has that story from our CBN News Bureau in Washington. John?
Thanks, Gordon. House Democrats are set to pass their massive $3 trillion coronavirus relief bill today, a measure President Trump has already promised to veto. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has blasted it as a $3 trillion left-wing wish list, pointing out it includes items like government checks for illegal immigrants and diversity detectives for the pot industry. Still, McConnell told Fox News there's a high likelihood Congress will produce another bill, one that includes Republican proposals. And Pelosi said this week Democrats will be in talks with Republicans.
We'll pass it in the House, and then we'll negotiate as we go forward.
The Democratic bill is the largest such measure in history. While the coronavirus lockdowns have meant food banks are facing challenges helping those in need. One food bank recently kicked off a campaign bringing in Mercy Chefs, a group with experience helping during disasters. Charlene Aaron brings us that story.
In partnership with local agencies, Mercy Chefs is preparing and delivering restaurant-quality meals to senior citizens and at-risk kids impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Chef Gary LeBlanc leads the ministry, which has served more than 2 million meals at natural disaster sites in some 23 states and 8 nations.
Our hallmark is hot meals, but with this, we've been doing the cooking one day and blast chilling and freezing overnight, and then packing frozen meals that are then distributed to seniors and shut-ins. So it's a new thing for us.
It is all part of the initiative Food Plus Faith Equals Hope. The goal, get 15,000 meals each week to homebound seniors. Dr. Ruth Jones-Nichols oversees the food bank of southeastern Virginia and the Eastern Shore.
Through this partnership effort, we really are still relying on our faith-based organizations and communities to come together and really leverage food and faith to inspire hope.
And LeBlanc says this is far from simple fast food.
We're doing high-quality, handcrafted, chef-prepared meals. They're balanced, they're nutritious, and they're delicious. They're comfort food.
Campaign co-chair Bishop Courtney McBath says the current crisis has created tremendous demand.
Senior services and all these wonderful folks have always taken care of folks with meals on wheels and those kinds of things. But now the need is just so much greater now, and finding a way to try to meet that need was our goal.
And that includes demonstrating faith in action.
I want us to be known as the church that when we were in our greatest need, we took care of people in their greatest need.
The Food Plus Faith Equals Hope initiative officially runs through July 3rd, although LeBlanc and others plan to keep handing out hope for as long as needed.
There are some individuals in population that experience food insecurity throughout the year. So right now, we're doing a little bit more for this population, but I anticipate that we will need to do even more once we are beyond the pandemic.
The meal counts are unbelievable, over 3,000 meals a day. That number keeps going up every day. We add more people to the distribution program. We're determined, we're committed. We're going to stand in as long as we need to.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Thanks, Charlene. A government whistleblower told Congress Thursday that the United States does not have a comprehensive battle plan against the coronavirus. Rick Bright also said the country could face what he called, quote, the darkest winter in modern history. Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar said everything Dr. Bright is complaining about has been accomplished, while President Trump labeled him a really unhappy, disgruntled person. Dr. Bright claims his removal from his position came after complaining no action was taken to stock up on treatments like remdesivir, while he raised alarms on promoting untested drugs like hydrochloroquine.
My concerns around the safety of hydroxychloroquine in people infected with the COVID-19 virus were reflective of the scientific review that we received from an interagency group of clinicians and regulatory experts.
But Republican Representative Morgan Griffith argued that while the drug may be untested with no known cure available for people facing death, the side effects pale in comparison.
If you're worried about not having a heartbeat at all, that's really not, you're not worried about irregular if you don't have one at all.
Dr. Bright responded that we have to be careful. Well, we've been following the progress of potential treatments and vaccines for COVID-19. In addition to remdesivir, about 200 drugs are currently under observation. One was first developed in 2007 to treat HIV. Lori Johnson introduces us to a coronavirus patient who says it saved her life.
Samantha Motet tested positive for COVID-19 in March. 2 weeks later, she appeared near death in an intensive care unit.
I had moments of, gosh, 55 years went by so fast. I'm not going to see my children again. I'm not going to see my parents. my future grandchildren.
As a liver transplant recipient, Samantha was considered high risk for complications.
I had an overwhelming support from my friends and family praying for me. They were all praying for a miracle that I would survive this.
Her doctor tried a number of experimental drugs without success.
She certainly had not improved. So she had been on the ventilator for several days already, and her condition was still critical and not improving at that point. So I thought that we didn't have much to lose.
Then he injected her with leronlimab, a drug originally developed to treat HIV.
About a day or 2 days later, the amount of oxygen she required on the ventilator started to go down. So the amount of oxygen being exchanged in her lungs started to improve. And then a couple more days later, she was actually able to get off the ventilator.
And then what happened to her?
Then she went home.
It was my last hope. And if it were not for that drug, I truly would not be here today.
Dr. Yang has also given leronlimab to several other patients.
Yes.
How'd they do?
It's been a mixture, and many of them have improved. Not everyone.
Leronlimab is a monoclonal antibody designed to calm the often deadly cytokine storm, an extreme immune system overreaction.
If we can stop the death, this is just the flu. It won't do anything. The whole country can be reopened and everybody's going to be safe if this works the way we think.
The FDA designated leronlimab as an emergency investigational new drug.
That requires the physician personally to contact the FDA, produce certain types of information, and get approval. So it's fairly time-consuming, and it's a barrier to giving it.
People are dying right now. They're asking us for drug, and when we send it to them a couple of occasions, they got the drug and they were dead already.
Cytidine, the drug's manufacturer, is requesting the FDA upgrade leronlimab to compassionate use status. Studies testing leronlimab on patients with mild and more severe cases like Samantha's are also underway.
Every morning since I've been home, the first thing I do when I open my eyes, I look up, I put my hands together, and I thank God for giving me another day. And I go to bed at night thanking Him.
Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Gordon, what a dramatic turn for Samantha from being on a ventilator to being able to go back home.
And it's a wonderful thing, and let's keep in mind compassionate care that allows doctors to be able to do these kinds of treatments, but they're not all successful. And so we've already heard from the doctor that here is one case that was tremendously successful, complete turnaround, released to go back home, to go back to life, but other cases where it did not work. And that's the same for remdesivir, that's the same for chloroquine. There have been some incredible turnarounds with those drugs. At the same time, it's not universal. So how are we getting through this? Well, we're going to have to continue to test, and we're going to have to continue to have clinical trials to try to find something that can be an effective treatment. And hopefully at some point in time we can have a vaccination. And until we have this, please keep yourself safe. Please, you do not want to have this virus. This is not any kind of thing you want to get anywhere near. So practice safety, practice washing your hands, practice social distancing. Please don't shake anybody's hand anymore. Try to avoid crowds. These are the things that you can do to keep yourself safe.